वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diri Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Naishtaki. So continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. Text number 24 and 25 we'll try to do today because both are related to Lord Ram. Text 24. Yasmadadu rud bhayang vepo margam sapadyari puram haravad didaksho dure suhrin mathit rosha sushoshna dishriya tatapya manam akaror gagana akror ganakra chakraha. The personality of Godhead, Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant, intimate friend, Sita, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravan with red-hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry red-hot eyes of the Lord. So this Brahmaji is talking about when Lord Ram went to the ocean and he had to cross the ocean to go to Sri Lanka. The personality of Godhead has every sentiment of a sentient being, like all other living beings, because he is a chief and original living entity, the supreme source of all other living beings. So even Ram, even the Supreme Lord, he gets angry. We have anger because Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has anger. But the subject matter of our anger and his anger are different. Here, Lord Ram is acting like an ordinary human being, with his wife being stolen. So he is getting angry because wife is away and the ocean is in the middle, and he could not build ocean. For 3 days he did tapasya, and the ocean did not give him the way, so he gets getting. So some people can think that way, but that's not the reason. He is getting angry because his devotee Sita is in trouble. He is there not for himself, for his devotees. For the pastime, he can act in any way, but he achieves many things by the same pastime. Well, that's also uh, gives the reason to many people now that the real Valentine's Day should commemorate Ram building the ocean, not or real love should be Ram building the ocean to get Sita, not Shah Jahan building Taj Mahal for Mumtaz. But that's a whole lot different story, political story. Let's not get into that. Lord Ram's love for Sita is completely shown over here. So that's why also when people talk about, oh, why did Lord Ram left Sita, banish Sita to the forest after, first of all, why he asked her to prove her chastity by going through the fire, and even after they came back, why he banished her to the forest. But here it is clearly shown he is going to cross over the ocean, he is going to fight with Ravan for Sita. So we have to understand his pastimes through some bona fide acharya. On our own, if we try to understand his pastimes, we'll definitely make mistakes because we'll think he's just like one of us. He's not. He's the Supreme Lord himself. If he can create a bridge on the ocean without any columns, without any pillars, means he's not an ordinary person. And if he didn't love his wife, Sita, Sita is his internal potency. That's it. In the previous verse it is mentioned. He could have just let her go right now. I mean, why he had to go through all the trouble to get her back? There are so many different pastimes, so many teachings in all this pastime. It's amazing. Anyway, so now he's trying to build the ocean, build a bridge on the ocean, or trying to get the way through the ocean to get to Sita and to kill Ravan, because ultimately he's yada yada hi dharmasya and paritarana sadhuna vinashya chadushkrita. He comes for only that purpose. In the process, he performs his wonderful pastimes, so we can talk about those pastimes, we can remember those pastimes, we can sing those pastimes. So in the process, we also get purified. Purified in the sense, the consciousness, the purification of consciousness, to understand that we are not the controllers, we are not the proprietors, we are not the enjoyers. Only Ram is, or Supreme Lord, Krishna is. We are not. We have this Ravan-like mentality. Ravan kidnapped Sita, and Ravan wanted to enjoy Sita. Sita is the potency of the Lord. Sita is there to serve the Lord. Sita is there to be enjoyed by the Lord. But we have this Ravan-like tendency. And this is, all these pastimes are basically to get us into that mode, to get us into that consciousness. We are not the enjoyers, we are not the controllers. We are here to serve. In the service, there is so much of enjoyment. Hanumanji enjoyed Vibhishan, because of his service, he became king of Lanka. But he always maintained that mood of a servant of Ram. So that mood is what we have to develop. So Ocean forgot that mood, or he didn't think Ram was the Supreme Lord. He thought he was just an ordinary person. So he didn't give him the way. But then Lord Ram became very angry at him. The many eternals are supported by one eternal. So Prabhupada now is basically, in every purport, he tells a philosophical point that we have to keep in mind before understanding who Lord Ram is. He is the chief one, and all others are the dependent many. So Nitya Nityanam, Chetna Chetnanam. We are Nitya, we are, and he is also Nitya. He is also eternal, we are also eternal. But that eternal, him, that Supreme Lord Eternal, is supporting or taking care of all the other eternals. So there is a difference between us and him. The many eternals are supported by the one eternal, and thus both the eternals are qualitatively one. Due to such oneness, both the eternals constitutionally have a complete range of sentiments. But the difference is that the sentiments of the chief eternal are different in quantity from the sentiments of the dependent eternals. When Ramchandra was angry and showed his red-hot eyes, the whole ocean became heated with that energy. So much so that the aquatics within the great ocean felt the heat, and the personified ocean trembled in fear and offered the Lord an easy path for reaching the enemy's city. So Prabhupada is saying, so his quantity of anger is way different than our quantity of anger. If we get angry at suppose, not just the ocean, maybe just a mug of water, the mug of water is not going to get hot. Nothing is going to happen to that water. But here, when Ram got angry at the ocean's water became so hot that the aquatics living, all the fishes that were living inside the ocean, they had so much of pain. They were suffering. And then the ocean personified appeared, and he begged Ram to please forgive him and forgive all the aquatics living who have taken shelter of him. And then he offered the Lord an easy path for reaching the enemy city. So easy path, he said, was this Nal and Neel. When they were little, they were given this curse because they used to be so naughty. They would throw everything in the ocean and everything would drown in the ocean. And they were cursed by some rishi that anything you would throw in the ocean, in the water, it will float from now on. So that's when all the Hanumanji and everybody, they brought some mountain peaks and the rocks and the trees, and they would write the name of Ram and give it to Nal and Neel, and Nal and Neel would throw it in the ocean, and then those things would float. but but again, in this one pastime, so many things get together. And the bridge that they built, it was 800 miles long and 80 miles wide. And they built the bridge. They built the bridge in, if I'm not wrong, in 8 or 10 days. That's how fast they built it. The impersonalists will see havoc in this red heart sentiment of the Lord because they want to see negation in perfection. Because the Lord is absolute, the impersonalists imagine that in the absolute, the sentiment of anger, which resembles mundane sentiments, must be conspicuous by absence. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, they do not realize that the sentiment of the absolute person is transcendental to all mundane concepts of quality and quantity. Had Lord Ramchandra's sentiment being of mundane origin, how could it disturb the whole ocean and its inhabitants? Can any mundane red-hot eye generate heat in the great ocean? These are the factors to be distinguished in terms of the personal and impersonal conceptions of the absolute truth. So Prabhupada is saying the impersonalists, the Nirakaris, or Nirvikaris, whatever they want to call themselves, they say, oh, the absolute, it's all Brahman is all without form. Without form means no emotions, no sentiments. So how come there can be anger in the absolute truth? So that's where they're wrong. Absolute truth has all the sentiments, but in complete spiritual way. That's where we got the sentiments from. Otherwise, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are his like energy, but in very infinitesimal form. So whatever he has, whatever the source has, that's what we have. Of course, we have it in a perverted form. That's a different story. But the source is Krishna, or source is Ram. We cannot have anything that the source does not have. We have in very infinitesimal quantity and in a perverted form. That's where the problem is. And this is what Prabhupada saying, they cannot, the impersonalists, they cannot understand. How can the Supreme Lord, he can have any emotions? He he's full of emotions because he's a person. As it is said in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is the source of everything. So the absolute person cannot be devoid of the sentiments that are reflected in the temporary, mundane world. Rather, the different sentiments found in the absolute, either in anger or in mercy, have the same qualitative influence, or in other words, there is no mundane difference of value because these sentiments are all on the absolute plane. Such sentiments are definitely not absent in the absolute, as the impersonalists think, making their mundane estimation of the transcendental world. So the impersonalists or Nirakaris, they think that the ultimate is Brahman, or ultimate is like light, or no person, and no emotions, and something happens in that Brahman, and Krishna comes and Ram comes and they display their qualities and this and that. But there's no such thing as that. Ultimate is a person and the supreme person, whether it is Krishna, Ram, Vishnu Tattva, it's all the same. They just have different pastimes, different qualities they manifest, they display during their pastimes. That's up to them. But ultimate is a person. And wonderful pastimes of Lord Ram, especially when he built the bridge on the ocean. Ocean got angry and he gave the way, and Ram built the bridge. And we know the story of the squirrel. Like Hanumanji was bringing all the big rocks and the mountain peaks. Not just the mountain peaks, he was bringing the whole mountains. He was busy. He wanted to get the bridge finished very soon so that the whole army could go to Lanka and get Sita back. So he was bringing, and the squirrel was also doing her service by bringing few particles of sand. And Hanumanji, he got little agitated by the squirrel. The squirrel was on holding his way, blocking his way. So Hanumanji told her, get aside, let me go. And Ramchandra, Lord Ram was looking at all this. And he said, Hanuman, come here. She is doing according to her capacity, and you're doing according to your capacity. And both of you are very dear to me. That was Lord Ram's judgment. So means we have to understand from this that everybody works, everybody serves according to their capacity. Or even in devotional service, like everybody is trying to chant, trying to read, trying to preach, trying to do some kind of service. But everybody is different. Everybody has different capacity, different capabilities, different consciousness, different level of advancement. But everybody is dear to Krishna. Everybody is dear to Srila Prabhupada. There's nobody who's not dear. Just because somebody can build big temples or collect thousands and thousands of dollars for the service of Krishna or distribute lots of books and I can't, doesn't mean I'm not dear to Krishna. Of course, from the mundane concept, a mundane point of view, somebody is doing more service, so he must be more dear. It could be, because he's doing more service. But the person who has his own capacity or capability of doing whatever, he's also dear, very dear. Ultimately, in the end, it's a mood of service that counts. With which humble mood we are trying to serve. So that is what we have to adopt. And in that way, when we deal with everybody else, keeping that in mind, that other person is also very dear to Krishna. So my dealing with him or her should be very proper, very in the same mood as Krishna is dealing with them. That they are so dear to Krishna. Just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when his disciples would go out and distribute books, and even if they just distribute one or two books or magazines, they didn't even have books that time, there's so many books, or even magazines, one or two magazines, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj would be so happy with them. That you have done a really great job. So that's the mood of Guru. That they appreciate every service, every and any service the disciple has done. Because Krishna, this is how Krishna looks at, how Ram looked at the service of squirrel. And from mundane point of view, from our estimation, a few particles of sand It hardly makes any difference in making that big bridge, 800 miles long bridge. It hardly makes any difference. And if it impedes or if it blocks the path of Hanumanji, who's really trying to build the bridge very fast, from our perspective, it will be like, oh, it's a wastage of time. But it's not wastage of time. This is what Ram is trying to tell us. He's really appreciative of the service of Squirrel. So let's get to the next verse because that's also concerned Lord Ram. Vakshasthal sparsha rugna mahendravaha dantar vidambit kakubjushu udu uhasam sadhya subhi sahvineshyati darharto visfurjitar dhanush uccharito adhisanya. When Ravan was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant, which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke in pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravan, and the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravan therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. But his laughter, overtaken by joy along with this very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. However powerful a living being may be, when he is condemned by God, no one can save him. And similarly, however weak one may be, if he is protected by the Lord, no one can annihilate him. So that's a saying in Bengali. Prabhupada used to quote that very often. Mare Krishna Rakhe ke or Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. Means if Krishna, or in this case Ram, if they have decided to kill somebody, nobody can protect him. And if they decided to protect somebody, nobody can kill him. So here the scene is Ravan was in the battlefield, and the trunk of the elephant, Eravat, which is carrier of Indra, it broke in pieces when the tusk it collided with the chest of Ravan. So that's how powerful Ravan was. Means the elephant of Indra is not an ordinary elephant. Eravat is not at all an ordinary elephant. Indra is not an ordinary person. He's a chief demigod, chief of all the demigods. And he rides on Indra. He rides on Eravat with his Vajra. He carries his thunderbolt in his hand. And that elephant, when collided with Ravan, his tusk broke in pieces. So Ravan was very proud of his strength, of his powers. And because he had the benedictions from both Shivji and Brahmaji. But when he came to fight with Ram, he played with him for a while and then he just effortlessly killed him. He shot an arrow, Aditya Hriday, at his chest and they killed him. And Ravan fell down dead with all his 10 heads and whatever number of arms he had. And he just fell down dead with all the Rakshas dynasty completely vanquished. So this is what happens when we become proud of our powers, of our capabilities, of our achievements, and then we end up committing offenses actually. And this is the way of Ram or Krishna to teach us a lesson that don't become proud of any powers, because all the powers, even Brahmaji or Shivji, whatever benediction they gave, actually the powers come from Krishna or Ram, even for them to give any benedictions. And all the benedictions, whatever powers the benedictions have, actually the source of all the powers is Krishna or Ram. So Ravan, even if he got so many benedictions, he should have understood. It's all because of Ram. So he forgot that. Hanumanji had also had powers. Hanumanji showed so much of power, did wonderful services for Ram, but he never forgot that he is servant of Ram. He never forgot the source of all his powers is Ram. Ravan captured Sita, so he separated Sita from Ram and he got vanquished. Hanumanji brought Sita back, brought the news of Sita back, and did everything to keep Sita and Ram together. And he is celebrated forever as a pure servant of Ram. So much of purity he has that he doesn't even want to know about anybody else except Ram. He cannot think of anyone else except Ram. He's being worshipped all over the world by his devotees, by his worshippers. Why? He's celebrated as servant of Ram. So much so that it is said that whenever and wherever the names of Ram is being chanted, or whenever and wherever the Katha of Ram happens, Hanumanji is present there. So that's what we have to learn, whether we want to become servant of Ram, whether we want to bring Sita back to Ram, or whether we want to separate Sita from Ram. Separate Sita from Ram means making money. Money is another energy of Ram or Krishna, and keeping it for us. So separating it from Krishna or Ram, or using it in the service of Ram or Krishna. That's what we have to see. So that consciousness we have to develop, the consciousness of Hanumanji, that in the mood of servant we serve them and bring them together. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the
Hare Krishna.
lecture and passing of the Brahma.
Thank you, Prabhu. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.